Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like tonight's film. This is a film from the 90s, from 1991, and perfect for the Halloween season. Hauntedween. From 1991, this is Hauntedween, a W. Doug Robertson film. And it says, "When fantasy becomes a deadly reality." This is the 20th anniversary edition. Actually, I bought this straight from the director's site, and it's not a DVD-R. It's a master DVD, and it has special features and everything else. And this was originally, I mean, it's still extremely unknown and very difficult to get. It was only available on VHS, and actually the cover of the VHS is spectacular, and it has this kind of this mask image, this the one of the main masks in the film, this kind of artist rendering of the mask on the cover. I mean, if you would have seen it in video stores in the 80s, you would have been like, I'm renting that right now. But this was a film that really passed me by. I never saw it in the 80s or anything else like that. I first saw it about 5 years ago from a friend's VHS copy, and then he directed me to the director's website where I purchased this DVD. So let's get into 1991's Hauntedween. You know, there are so many Halloween films out there, Halloween horror films, and so many films, you know, so many mainstream Halloween films, and so many mainstream family Halloween films, and there's Halloween cartoons. And if you're a fan of the Halloween season, Sam Hain, All Hallows Eve season, you'll know that there's a lot of movies to choose from, and even films that aren't directly Halloween films can give you a very, a Halloween essence, a Halloween vibe for the season. This is a film that is very, very unique in that it was filmed in the South. And for that reason, we don't typically mix the Halloween season with the South. It's not something that you typically do. And it reminded me in some form or fashion of a review that I did on this YouTube page for a film called Ocean Drive Weekend that was distributed by Troma, which was kind of a teen sex comedy romp that took place in the South. And I also said that was really unique because it was in the South. Typically those films are in Miami or California. So similarly, this is a film that has that same southern feel in many ways with the teenagers, with the college kids. And so that was really interesting to compare the two films done in the South and the humor, the style, things like that. So very, very interesting. In this film, we have a haunted house. We have, obviously, the season of Halloween. We have the horror genre, and we have college kids. And so you might know a lot of Halloween films, but how many Halloween films do you know of that actually have a haunted house as the center point, or a haunted attraction? You know, these are things people go to during the months of September and October, hay rides and haunted houses. And in some areas they're open all year round, like in Canada, Niagara Falls region. Let's get into this film, Hauntedween. Let's start off with the music. The music in this film, we have like this piano instrumental, 80s rock, 50s music filtered through the 80s. We also have kind of this boogeyman sounding score at times. I'm talking about the Uli Lumel, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I'm talking about that boogeyman film from the 80s. You can find the soundtrack on vinyl now and everything, but it reminded me a lot of that score from Uli Lumel's Boogeyman in many regards. That we have 80s synth in this film with 80s sound design. And I know this is an early 90s film, but you still have that crossover of the 80s in here as well. You also have kind of a new wave, early goth type sound music in here as well. But since it's also the early 90s, we have 90s low budget, kind of that vibe of low budget live music, like a local 90s band, you know, fresh out of the late 80s, early 90s. The band was called The Side. It actually has their sign on there. You know, it really reminded me a lot of the teen sex comedies in that regard, because teen sex comedies would always rely on a local band, you know, to do the soundtrack and stuff. And this band doesn't, you know, do all the music in the film seemingly, but they have a couple live performances in the film with montages and things like that. Um, and while it's, you know, in the fall and it's in somebody's kind of a frat house backyard, you could almost picture that on a beach for a beach party, you know. There are cues in this film, um, like a like a score, a signature cues. There are these like short pieces of score, scary, you know, kind of booms and things and sounds like that are repeated, and they become kind of signature cues for the film throughout the film. So very, very cool stuff. The music is very diverse, very broad, very atmospheric, very fun, and very musical. So we have a soundtrack and we have a score pulsating throughout Hauntedween. Let's get into some of the shots of this film. Now, this is a very low budget film. It's not shot on video. I mean, you would almost think that it was shot on video for maybe what you read about the film or the cover and things like that. You'd say, oh, it's a shot on video film. And at first I thought it was. Oh, it's a Hauntedween. Oh, it's a shot on video film that went to West Coast Video, blah, 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 blah. It's not a shot on video film. And actually, it's a very professional affair for such a low budget. I mean, we really have some amazing cinematography in this film for such a low budget, and special effects and everything else, but we're going to get into that. Now, let's start off with some shots in here. We have this amazing shot through somebody's legs. When these girls kind of, at the frat house, they open up the front door and these girls are there, and he just shoots through the legs of the guy. Like, inconceivably. It's such a cool shot. There's this one really awesome cutting shot of this guy sawing wood intercutting with another scene, and it just keeps flipping back and forth like that. Very artistically done, very cool, a professional gleam to that. It has a lot of art to it. There's this great shot of a door falling down, but he shoots it right from the ground. I mean, it looks like the door's about to hit the damn camera. I mean, just really, really well done shots like that. We also have a lot of different angles in here, which is, you know, right off the bat, you're going to say, this is not an SOV film. This is not a shot on video film. We have a lot of different angles in this film. And we have this, like, kind of somebody throwing a beer can at somebody else, and it just seems like a commercial. Like, it's so cool. Part of this montage, you know, somebody and this big muscle man grabs the beer can. He's like, you know, just the way it's done looked like a commercial. We have awesome fog in this movie, and which just bleeds into the overall awesome atmosphere of this film. In particular, the damn production design for the haunted house, and the surrounding kind of road up to the haunted house. Really creepy, really atmospheric, really Halloween filled, really just spooky in that way, and really, really cool. This is a film too, if you look around in the movie, and I don't know if this has anything to do with maybe the lack of a wider release for the film, but there's a lot of kind of copyrighted stuff throughout the film that's really awesome for me that's a fan. You know, you see posters of movies, of horror films, you know, things on people's shirts or what they're drinking or what they're eating. There's just like so many different in particular, like movie posters and things like that you'll see in the film. In particular, the haunted house in one of the rooms, you'll see stuff like for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and things like that. So that was a really interesting thing just to note for the film. The violence of this movie is surprisingly gory and intense. The special effects are freaking... Like, there are a couple scenes in this film with the special effects that are like, holy crap, this is really well done. For a film that is seemingly such a low budget, and you can tell that the actors, you know, probably most of them maybe weren't actors, but then you have some that acted in other films that I found out about. And then we have these special effects that are freaking, like, some of them are freaking awesome. There's this one with like somebody getting stabbed in the neck that is like, wow, like it's like Tom Savini like. I mean, really, really well done stuff. And it's a violent movie. You know, we have some violence, we have some gore, and the violence is dark. It's not done in a playful manner at all. It's dark. We even have a character kind of dying of just like a heart attack or something in this film as well. So there's some emotional vibes in here, but it's dark. It's dark violence, dark gore. It's not playful. It's not fun. And in terms of the sexuality of the film, you know, it was really it really had a strong sexual foundation for the film as well, which was great. I mean, it had you have a lot of topless shots in here, and you have topless shots of these are all real breasts, and they're we have small, but we have this one girl that has very large breasts on this boat that's going by. Definitely a standout for the film. Just real girls, real people, real bodies, real breasts. We have lingerie in this film and some sexy lingerie shots in this film. We have girls that are sexually attractive in this film, a lot of them, and fuller figured women as well. We have curvier women in here. We have basically lots of boobs and butts. We have a character reading a Playboy magazine, another copyright thing there. I don't know if they got rights from Playboy. And just, sexual dialogue and references in the film. And so you really have that. I mean, you really have that throughout this Hauntedween film. And we have characters in this film. I mean, every film has characters, but this is a film that definitely is a film of characters also. Like, and when I say characters, I'm saying in a way of like the context of, oh, he's such a character, like that. I mean, we have this, like the lead guy is like this Maine Southern guy, and he's, he kind of is played for laughs a lot of the time, but he, kind of has this high-pitched voice. But some of the stuff he says is actually pretty freaking funny. And then we have this other character who kind of glides around at times, who I don't know if it reminds me a lot of like the Pee Wee Herman character, which was interesting. And you have kind of like this love triangle in here and some jealousy, some 80s, 90s jealousy, love stuff with the college kids, and great atmosphere, a woodsy type of atmosphere. And it looked warm out, so you could tell in the South in the fall it wouldn't be as cool as it would be in the on the East Coast, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or even Ohio, things like that. But this is Hauntedween, when fantasy becomes a deadly reality. Here's a couple shots that you see on the back here. That's a pretty wild shot there. You don't know what that is, and you can see the knife in the neck right there. There you go. So some sunbathing, so it's a little warmer. And look at that. Guy with a chainsaw and the masks. So great lighting in here too, great red lighting. And I would say this is one of the, all I can think off the top of my head, a Halloween film that is focused on a haunted attraction that's so badass. And it was really ahead of its time story-wise. I don't want to give anything away, but really ahead of its time in terms of the twists, the turns of the haunted attraction, and maybe some things that you've thought about before when you've gone to a haunted attraction or you've worked at a haunted attraction as an actor. This is Hauntedween from 1991, folks. Happy Halloween. I'm posting this in October 2016, a couple days left to Halloween, to the actual day of October 31st. And this is Hauntedween right here. And I think I found out that you should be able to, you can pick this up on the director's website, W. Doug Robertson, but also I think he has some VHS copies he's selling for like $80, and they're brand new, never opened also. So either way, and I think there's some differences between the VHS beginning and the DVD beginning. I really love the VHS beginning, but I think he made some changes to it. So hey, but either way, you still get the same main film, and the cover of the VHS is amazing. This is Hauntedween right here, folks. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like this one. Please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopydiarrhea. Thank you, and happy Halloween.